Okay, what we're going to be doing this time is we're going to take our single object that we're finished with and we're going to take it into Unreal. I'm just going to find the original one, the one that doesn't have zeros after it. I'm going to hit Alt-Q and I'm going to press G. Now I want to make sure that it's here, and I need to make sure this object is in triangles. Pretty easy to do. I'm just going to right click until it's on the 0 coordinate right there, because it needs to be in the center of the world or it will be difficult to move in Unreal. So I've got this object, and now we want to take this into Unreal. I'm going to go to File, Export, Export Selected. I'm going to make sure that I'm sending it to the exact place to my Unreal file. I'm just go to Documents. Now inside Content, where are we at? Max Export to Unreal, Assets, and this is floor. It was 5 by 5 by 1 underscore Fantasy Hall and FBX. I'm going to hit save. Now in these options, triangulate, well, it's already triangulated. I'm going to turn that off, and smoothing groups is fine. Make sure turbo smooth is not on. I'm going to go down, embed media, that's going to save the textures. I'm going to hit embed media. I'm going to make sure that automatic is turned off and that it's set to centimeters. FBX 2020, and I'm going to hit OK. Once it saves here, I'm going to open up Unreal. Now, zoom back a little bit. I'm going to open up my content drawer. I'm going to go in, and inside Content, Characters, I'm just going to right click, and I'm going to make a new folder. I'm just going to say, let's see, new folder. All right, so now we've got our asset, and I'm going to take this into Unreal. File, Export, Export Selected. I'm going to take. All right, we're back in Unreal, and I'm going to import my own custom object. I'm going to hit Content. I'm going to make sure that I'm in Content. I'm going to right click. I'm going to add a new folder. New folder. I'm going to say Assets. I'm going to open that folder, and now I'm going to right click, Import. Max export to UE5. I'm going to say my object and its material, hit open, or its texture. Now I'm going to say generate. This is going to make a collision for the object so that you don't walk through it. We'll make our own custom later. I'm going to scroll down, hit import. Now if I look at this, I'm going to double click this object to take a peek at it, and you'll see that it's got nothing on it yet. So I'm just going to hit X, back to my content drawer. This is the material. I'm going to double click this material. Just like 3ds Max, this is just a color node. I can just pick a different color to change things on my object, but I'm just going to delete it. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Now, back to my content drawer, I'm going to drag in my texture right here. Just going to RGB base color. This is just a preview of what the material is going to look like, or could look like. I'm going to hit save. Now, content drawer. Now, if I click on this, because these materials, if I have this object here, and I look at, where are you? I'm just going to drag this object out, scoot it up a bit. You'll see that the material is here. from this, so they were already connected. So now I've got this object. Let's scoot it down. Let's make sure that it matches up with the grid here. And you're seeing that non-planar error where two faces are exactly on top of each other. Let's click, scoot you in. Hold Alt, click and drag. Whoopsie. Hold Alt. All right, let's get rid of the walls. I'm just going to grab these three, spacebar, hold Alt, drag up, W to go to the Move tool, spacebar, rotate, I'm going to grab all of these. Now let's get rid of these first. Just holding Control. Let's just close it off so that we can see it. Grab two of these, hold Alt, rotate 90 degrees, W to go back to move. Now if you see, all I've got is the picture. G will hide all the game objects. And so everything's a little too shiny. I'm just going to double click on this material. Now you normally make this in a texture. I'm just going to, if I hold down, I'm going to click 1. And this is just a value. This, I'm just going to connect it to texture so it's obvious. You'll see this. At 0, I get black. If I click 1, I get white. And so if I hold down Alt, I can click to remove those. I'm going to go to roughness, and at 1, it's rough like carpet. At 0, it's smooth like glass. So I'm going to say that rock is like a 0.7. And I'm just going to connect this back up. This will just make it easier to see things. And if I've got different shapes I can choose to look at this material on, but you can also click on this object and click this, and it'll load that object in the materials so I can see it on it. Now I can't move it here, but it does give me a nice preview. I'm just going to hit save. That's looking better. The tileable nature of this is not very good if you look at that, so it needs more work inside 3ds Max and Photoshop. That's looking nice. I don't care for that. I can do more. If I look at this, do you see how this feels very flat and like it's all one material, like it's a picture? If I go back into 3ds Max or Photoshop, just gonna reopen that texture. If I go down here, I'm gonna hit V for move, click this. I'm just opening it up here. I don't need that. I want to select all the grout. I'm gonna go W. Let's say I'm getting a lot of that. I'm also getting a lot of these. There we go. I'm going to add a picture on top of this. I'm just going to make this grout darker. I'm just going to go to G. I'm going to select black. I'm making a roughness map, and on these triangles, I should have kept them separate so it's easier to grab. Just going to duplicate this. Control-Shift-U will make things black and white. And I'm going to do the same thing to these. Control-Shift-U, black and white. And I'm going to say File, Export, Export As. Turn off transparency. I'm just saving it as a smaller, flat file. And instead of UVs, I'm just going to say R. And R just means roughness. And hit save. And then I'm just going to put all of this on one thing. I'm going to hit Control, Shift, Alt, E. And now I'm going to ask Photoshop to make me a normal map. I'm just going to go Filter, ooh, 3D, Generate Normal. It's just telling me that it doesn't like doing it. Change this to a cube. Got too many programs open at once. It looks kind of like a normal map. I'm going to hit OK. This is not the best way to do this, not even a little bit. You see these little bleed sections? I'm just going to grab this tone, and I just selected these and duplicated, and I'm just going to fill in to get rid of those bleedy sections. Now I'm going to do the same thing, File, Export, Export As. These are just flat, and I'm just going to say, instead of R, I'm going to say N for normal map, save. And this is, I'm just going to say G in, this is the builder file. G roughness, everything else is for diffuse. All right, go back into Unreal, Content, and right click, Import, and go grab these other two. All right, now I'm going to open this material up, and instead of just a random value, I'm just going to click Plane, go to my content drawer. I'm going to bring in these two maps, just drag them in, just like okay, I'm going to take my roughness texture And I'm just going to say, let's right click. I'm going to say 1 minus, which is just an invert. I'm going to say roughness, hold L, to move the light around. Alright, let's take our normal map, drag it up here. I'm going to hold M and click for multiply, drag it out A, and I can just connect this to normal. Hold L, and you can see that stuff's sticking up. But if I multiply this, right now it's times 1, so it's nothing. But if I say times 5 times 25, it's probably way too high. I'll hold L and click. You'll see that stuff pops up as much as it probably can. I'm going to hit save. Now these are going to look much better. I'm going to hit G to bring everything back. I'm going to grab this middle light. I'm going to go down. And you should see that it feels a lot better with the roughness. And if your light, you see how it's jumping around, it's trying to stay on the grid? I can just turn the grid button off to move things more smoothly in a more organic way, but I like to keep it on. Alright, now once I've gotten here and I've saved a level, now I want to make all the objects for this scene, torches, everything, doors, and I'm going to follow the same basic system I did here. I'm going to make sure that I save all. And this is the basic process for building things. This is a really simple way to do it, like the very beginning. You can make far, far more complicated assets as we go, but this should get you quite a bit of level work. And once we finish this, we'll go on to the next step.